everyone, I was initially going to talk to you, and I still am, about something that came to me the other day where I was thinking about these bags and the prices that they've all gone to and how the prices have got so silly. And I am actually going to talk about the Chanel price rise that happened yesterday at the end of this video. The reason is I wasn't actually going to talk about it because I wasn't bothered. And when I say I wasn't bothered, it's only because there's nothing from Chanel that's really caught my eye for a long time. I like the ready to wear, but bag wise, the bags that I wanted, I bought back in the summer, which were a couple of the mini ones, and I feel like I'm done now until the next thing they make, which is amazing. But for the most part, Chanel bags have not really caught my eye for a couple of years now. There's just not been anything that I've seen that I've thought, that's going to keep me up at night. I'm going to be thinking about that. So in that respect, it's good for the bank balance. But the reason why I am going to talk about it is when I actually had a look into it, my God, you guys, some of these bags have had a 30% price rise, just a bit under 30% price rise in 1 year. My jumbo flap is now worth over £7,000. If I leave that another 5 years, that's a small house deposit. Anyway, before we get into that, and I'd love to get your feedback on it, so keep watching until the end if you want to know what I think, and again, please share your thoughts. When I was going through what I've got, which I'm really grateful for what I've got, I'm grateful for everything I've got, you know, the roof over my head, the fact that I can eat and pay the bills, and with the bags, definitely I look at them and I'm really grateful for the fact that I have them. It's what I'm interested in, it's what I like, and the fact that I look and I've over the years have built up that, you know, the collection that I look at and it makes me smile, you know, makes me really grateful. But when I was looking there the other day, I thought, you know, there are some bags there now that since when I bought them, the prices have risen so much that if I'm honest with myself, I wouldn't buy them now at the new prices. And I'm able to break this down into brands that I wouldn't spend over £2,000 on, brands I wouldn't spend over £4,000 on, and then brands that I wouldn't spend over £5,000 on. And when I really looked into it, to go as high as £5,000 felt ridiculous. But actually when I was sat there looking, like I've got, I'm lucky enough to have a small Chanel classic flap in pink, which I got a few years ago now. That at one point was £5,000. That, according to new money, how much is it now? That bag is now £6,000. I'll put it in here. That bag is now over £6,000, and that's a price I would never ever pay for that bag now. So let's discuss, before we talk about price rises and the craziness there, 2,000 and upwards. You're probably going to be surprised about this, but the first brand that I wouldn't exceed 2,000 on, unless we reach a point where their bags are all 2,000 plus, in which case you either suck it up or you get out of the kitchen, but that brand is Saint Laurent. I wouldn't exceed 2,000 because although their quality is exceptional, they are a brand that I associate with discounting. And I feel conflicted with that brand because the brand itself is really iconic. I love their bags. I've got quite a few of their bags now actually, and I use them probably more regularly actually than any of the other bags that I've got. But because I associate them with being able to, you know, get a bit of money off and a coupon code every so often, it has changed my perception of them, where I don't value them as highly as some other brands that don't do that. Like if you take Chanel for example, I think there's a bigger reason as to why Chanel are doing these price rises actually, because when I looked at them I thought, this is crazy, there's a bigger thing going on here, and that's just my opinion, but I'm going to talk to you that at the end. But brands that don't discount feel higher in that hierarchy of quality. And I will say that with all of the bags that I'm talking about in this video, I'm not actually saying that they are bad bags to buy. Some of them I wouldn't spend the new money on, but then if I didn't own them and if I wanted them enough, then I'd have to spend the new money on. But I'm going to try and explain as I go. So for any of you thinking of buying these bags, for any of you who already own them, I'm actually not saying that they're bad bags to own. A lot of the ones I'm talking about, probably most, are actually long-term classics through my eyes anyway. So just to make that clear so you don't get the two things confused. The next brand, which I wouldn't exceed 2,000 on, is Bottega. I'm reaching down because I have something to show you, which is quite sweet. Anyway, have a look at this. I know this is a weird bag, but It's one that I've had my eye on since the summer of 2020. I keep going back to it, and there's something weird about it, and it kind of looks like a croissant, but I'm okay with that. That is my exception to this rule. But this is the bag that I'm really talking about. Again, it's just my opinion. This bag is currently, I think, $2,750. And in my mind, this is a bit of a trend bag. It's a bit of, it's like an Instagram popular bag. It looks really cool. I've seen it in real life and the quality is really exceptional. But for me, once you spend over 2,000, there are better, more classic bags and brands that you can start considering. And in fact, I know it's not for everyone, but if you have a look here, these are some really classic shapes from Louis Vuitton in canvas, and they're all under £2,000. Some of them are really close to 1,000. And I have heard a rumour, I don't know if it's true, please let me know. I've heard a rumour that Louis Vuitton are going to discontinue the canvas. And I wonder whether they're discontinuing it because of the amount of fakes on the market, or because the canvas pieces, because they are canvas by nature, they cost a lot less, and maybe all of the brands are trying to get on top of that perception when it comes to pricing. Anyway, I just think there are better things you can get. I do feel like this is a trend bag. However, have a look at this. It's meant to look like a croissant as well, and it opens in a similar way. So it clips open, comes with a chain handle, although, you know that chunky square chain handle that the actual Bottega bag comes with? You can buy those on Etsy. And I thought with this, if I ever wanted to Bottega it up a bit, I could put that on this bag. Anyway, I'm going to talk about this more in an upcoming video, I think. I was actually given this, and I love it, and I can't wait to use it. I'm going to use it after I show you, but that bag's about £500, maybe £550. Now, here is where things get a bit juicy. This is stuff I wouldn't spend over 4,000. And you know, I've got one thing in this category that, if I'm really honest with myself, I feel this way about it, not because it's a bad bag at all. If you said to me, should I buy it, I'd still say yes. But for me, now that I own them, thankfully, and I don't have to spend that money, it is the Lady Dior, now in the medium size. The Lady Dior is currently, so there's two. If you have a look here, you've got the Ultra Matte, and you've also got the Classic. The Classic is currently 3,300, or no, 3,500, I think. The Ultra Matte is edging towards 4,000. I think it's 3,700. So currently, I still think they're good to get. But when they hit 4,000, they're a bag that I would seriously, like a million times, really think about, and I would probably consider pre-loved at the time. If you're thinking about getting one of these bags in this size, even if you know when it hits 4 grand, you're still gonna want it. And again, I don't think it's bad. I think it's one of those bags that you'll buy and you'll have in your wardrobe forever, and you can always dig it out. I would always say, actually, to go for the Classic, non-Ultra Matte. I think the Classic is gonna be the one that's around for longer. The matte, which is stunning, I actually own that bag, and I look at it and I think, you know, it's one that, if they, let's say, phase out the matte line, it could be one that in the future looks a bit dated. It could be, might not be, but you know, I see quite a lot when I'm looking around on Vestiaire Collective, for example, which is where I tend to shop for pre-loved. I see a lot of Lady Dior's, and a lot of the ones on there tend to be stylized ones from back in the day that aren't made anymore, and they really hang around. When I've seen them, they really hang around on there, and who's to say the Ultra Matte could be the same. Plus it's more expensive, so I think get the regular. And then finally, oh, this is the biggie. This is basically, let's just call this category Chanel, because this is bags that I wouldn't spend over 5,000 on, and it is Chanel. And I'm so disappointed to say it, because that brand is really classic. It's a bit like the Lady Dior in that I think if you get yourself a classic flap, you're going to have it in the wardrobe forever. The value of them, because of the price rises, which I'm going to talk about in a second, the value of them just keeps going up. According to the new prices, I've got a jumbo, and that bag is now worth over £7,000. I would not pay £7,000 for that bag. even if I really wanted it, I'd go pre-loved. The one bag that I still really think's good and I still really recommend, and I actually, knowing about the price rises and the way everything was going, I actually bought a rectangle and a square version of this earlier this year, is the mini sizes. The rectangle is around 3,200 and something. That price hasn't changed. The square is around about 3,090, and that price has changed by about £20 since I bought mine back in the summer. They are two very classic bags that if you can work with a smaller bag, I think they're worth it because they don't have the inner flaps going on. In a video back in the summer I showed you this, but you can fit as much in the mini rectangle as you actually can in the small size flap bag because you don't have all of the flaps going on the inside. So actually I still find that bag quite workable. For these bags to still be in the £3,000 category, let's talk about the price rise. I'm going to link to a really interesting article below from PurseBop, and PurseBop, I love that website, it's got so much information on it. If you want more in-depth info, go and have a read there. My thoughts on this, so in the last year, the jumbo size has had a 14 to 15% increase on both of the rises that have happened this year. But the jumbo has had a near 30% price increase this year alone, and I think it was similar again last year. Some of the bags had an increase of around 28% from memory. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I recall. For the bags to have gone up incrementally so much, I think there's got to be a bigger thing going on here beyond trying to claw back COVID prices, because at the same time a lot of these bags are now very difficult to come by. Now if you think about it, very much increased prices and limited stock can only equate to exclusivity and a plan and desire to change the brand's perception from what in a way felt maybe in 2019 and before a little bit, some of you talked to me about this, a little bit designer fast fashion. Where you could go into Chanel and if you had the money you could pretty much get the bag and they had it out the back. I remember when I bought my jumbo back in 2016, it was like, do you have a jumbo? Yeah, what colour do you want it in? Now it's very different. Even if I told you about the rectangle that I bought back in the summer, that took 2 years to get. So this combination of high prices plus limited stock feels like they are trying to combat maybe the perception of the brand, and I feel push themselves towards how people feel about Hermes. Now if you think about the Birkin bag, the Birkin bag, I think in the size 25, as it mentions on PurseBop, is around £7,000 as well. But I think for a lot of us, because we've just got used to the fact that Hermes is such a safe buy, the concept of spending £7,000 on a classic flap doesn't feel as safe as £7,000 on a Birkin bag. But I think that that's their plan. I think that their plan has got to be to change that perception and for people to start seeing Chanel bags along the same line as Hermes bags, but only for the classic line. That's my personal thoughts, that's my guess on it, that's what I think they're trying to do. There was a point last year where I thought this was about trying to claw back lost money from COVID, and maybe there was a bit of that included, but the more I think about it, the more I think last year was probably a really good year to start that effect of rolling out lower stock and higher prices because the market was so quiet. When I checked the website last night, the prices had been removed on all of the products on there, which was because they were updating them. When I saw that it was price and application for everything, I thought, oh, we're waiting for midnight when those prices are going to change globally. But to give you guys a bit of an insight, and again, please go and read PurseBop for this with that direct link that I'm going to put below. But to give you an idea, I've written it down here actually, the small classic flap in the US has risen by 15.5% to $7,200. In the EU, just to give you an idea, this is only based on the jumbo. The jumbo has increased by 14.2%, and it's gone from 6,300, which is around what it has been in the UK. And I thought that was a lot. And it's jumped to 7,300 euros. And in the UK now, it is currently over £7,000. Not all bags have been affected. The percentage discount has not been the same across the board. Some have had 11%, some have had a bit more, some have had a bit less. The mini bags don't look like they've been affected at all, which is another reason why I think they're so worth getting. They're such good little bags as well. Am I surprised? No. Does it bother me? No, because I'm not, currently anyway, I'm not interested in any of the bags from Chanel. I do really like their ready to wear. I like Chanel. You know, I kind of have some question marks about their quality and stitching not lining up and things like that. I think that needs to be fixed. If you're going to charge £7,000, then I think things should line up. But it's not a surprise, because the prices always go up in, I think it is July, but definitely November. I know the November one because it always happens very early in the month. And in days of the past, I used to always consider Chanel as somewhere to go to look for like a birthday present, because my birthday is early November. And so I'm always aware that the price increase happens before I end up going and doing that. So we might complain about it now, but guess what? Next year it will be more. If it's been going up roughly, some of those bags, if they've been going up roughly by 30% last year in this, then it's going to be another 30% next year, at a guess. And I say approximately 30% because it's been around 15% earlier in the year, and then 15% again on select bags in the November. So if you are thinking about getting one, and let's say you can stomach the money because you know it's only going up, then do it sooner, because they're only going to go up. Also, do consider pre-loved. I've bought in a couple of months ago, I bought the cutest little square flap bag in black, and I bought it in the vintage because I just couldn't get the square new in the black colour, but actually I preferred the vintage. And that vintage was around about, from memory, I paid about 1,800 for it. For any of us still into luxury, it will be a case of, yes, that bag was once £1,000 and now it's 2,000, but we will be forced to either suck it up or not engage in any of it. And I know for a lot of us, not engaging in any of it when it's our thing is going to be unlikely, and we're just going to have to suck it up. So I'm caveating this because let's say that Saint Laurent, for example, ends up being a brand that's £3,000 and you can't get a discount on it. Well, if I want to buy into that brand, that's just going to have to be something that I consider. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.